What's up, guys? Christian Duke, the Iron Duke speaks. Having some technical difficulties. Big shocker there. Welcome to the wonderful world of Facebook. So it's been a very interesting weekend. Got back from the North Coast Championships on Sunday night. That was a heck of a great competition. Over 300 competitors, well over 400 in the crossovers. And, I had a lot of fun. I do a lot of traveling, guys. Normally, I try to stay in Kentucky, but I would say as of the last month and a half, I've been to Pittsburgh, I've been to New York, now the North Coast. I'm going to be back here for this week. And then the week after this one, I go to Maryland, and we're going to be talking about the 2018 NPC Maryland State East Coast Championships in a moment. But first, I got to talk about Zane Watson. A lot of people have been asking me about Zane and wanting to know if this guy is, in fact, the next 212 phenom. And I got to be quite honest with you guys. In New York, I had him winning the competition. I thought Sean Clarita looked fantastic. But, to me, Sean, at the prejudging, I thought it was like neck and neck. To be honest with you, I thought it was totally neck and neck. But it was interesting because, at the night show, I felt like Zane really tightened up. And those of you guys out there, you understand, though, that, in bodybuilding, 9 times out of 10, shows are won at the prejudging. And at the prejudging, I had Sean. I thought it was very, very close. But Zane is without a doubt someone to really watch. He is someone that, has a lot of potential. He is someone that knows how to pose. The 212 is a division, quite frankly, that has brought the best of bodybuilding. There's no I have not seen any kind of, pettiness, squabbling, any kind of like fighting on stage. I haven't seen any of that in the 212. All I've ever seen is a lot of hardcore camaraderie, professionalism, and guys that really bring it to the stage, guys that are really dialed in. And I really feel like the 212, I'd like to see the 212 get more prize money at the Mr. Olympia. I'd like to see the 212, get more attention. And I feel like it's something that's happening. I feel like it's something that, quite frankly, the thing about it is you got Flex Lewis, who, like Phil Heath in the Open, Phil Heath is a 7-time Mr. Olympia. Flex Lewis is a 6-time Mr. Olympia. These are guys that have won every show back-to-back with no end in sight. And so a lot of people are, they're wanting to see who's going to be the next big champion, who's going to be the next guy that's going to have that standout. And in the 212, there's some names. Zane Watson is definitely a name. Sean Clarita is definitely a name. But there's other guys that we haven't seen so much of lately who are still major contenders. I'm talking about Eduardo Correa. I'm talking about, of course, Kevin English. I'm talking about, can't forget David Henry. David Henry is a big name. So the 212 has got a lot of competition. There's a lot of people that are definitely, what's up, Chris? What's up, Vinny? There's definitely a lot of people that are, looking to get into that. So definitely, I think the 212 is where it's at. Charles the Tank Dixon. Charles the Tank Dixon has always been one of my favorites and someone that I think, I don't know if Charles can get the 212 Olympia. I would like to see him definitely in the running for that, as well as the Arnold Classic. But, Charles has a lot of dense muscle mass and really carries it well. But again, aesthetically, Flex Lewis, to me, will continue to be the champion for a long time. And also, you can't forget, of course, Derek Lunsford, who was Rookie of the Year. Derek Lunsford, got his pro card, turned around, went to Tampa, won his first pro show, the first pro show he ever stepped stage on. He won that. And then he went to the Mr. Olympia, and in the 212 he got top 5, which is fantastic. So, that's really cool. So you got Derek Lunsford to consider as well, and you've got, there's really a lot of guys. Guy Cisternino, again, aesthetically, that's someone that could actually be very, very competitive. So, the 212 is definitely on fire, and there's a lot of people that I think really would like. I would love to see Guy Cisternino up in that top 3. But then, of course, you look at the Boston Mass, Jose Raymond. Jose Raymond, when you think of guys that, push their genetic potential to the limit, guys that literally cannot be beaten in the gym, you got to give Jose Raymond that kind of credit, and also his brother Tito. I mean, Tito Raymond, I know doesn't compete anymore, but back in the old Team Universe days, Tito Raymond was just a force to be reckoned with, and 100% natural, never touched anything, and was just incredible bodybuilder. So, I mean, the Raymond brothers, fantastic bodybuilders, and Jose Raymond, somebody that really brings that freaky conditioning to the stage, somebody that, much like Branch Warren, who he gets compared to all the time, is somebody that I think definitely could be a 212 Mr. Olympia if, in the right situation. But in terms of aesthetics, in terms of overall package, Flex Lewis is really in a league of his own, much like Phil Heath is in a league of his own. I will honestly say, in Phil's case, Kai did have him beat a couple of times. But, when you're talking about the Mr. Olympia, whether it's the Open or the 212 Showdown champion or Jeremy Buendia, who's your 3-time men's physique Mr. Olympia, when it comes with anybody that holds that Olympia title, you have to knock them out. And if you don't knock them out, it's just not going to happen. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is exclusivity contracts. Now, before I talk about exclusivity contracts, I want to talk about our great pre-workout product, which is Maximum Pump by IronMag Labs. I use this product. It's absolutely fantastic. And I also want to talk about Andro Shred by Muscle Gels. Now, if you go to musclegels.com, or if you go to ironmaglabs.com, if you use discount code IronDuke15, you'll save 15% off your purchase. So definitely check both of those products out and log on to ironmaglabs.com and musclegels.com. So the other thing I want to talk about today are exclusivity contracts. Now, I'm not going to mention any names, but myself and Hector Mendoza covered the 2018 Athlete Pro League New York Pro for MD Latino. And there was a prominent bodybuilder that we want to talk to who was under, we were told, exclusivity contract with Flex, and so couldn't speak to us at MD Latino. Well, now it looks like this athlete did a special with Muscular Development in English. Now, I don't know if his contractual situation changed in the last 2 weeks, or if he simply didn't want to give us an interview. I don't know. Me personally, Hector Mendoza, I speak for as well. We would just prefer if someone didn't want to do an interview with us to just tell us, hey, we don't want to do an interview with you. But, our exclusivity contract's still in play. Well, years ago, and by years ago I mean as recently as 2 years ago, yes, they were. You had Muscular Development had exclusivity contracts. Flex Magazine had exclusivity contracts. Now what you're seeing is Generation Iron, as of the New York Pro, is actually paying athletes to do interviews, which is very interesting. I don't know that they are actually having them sign exclusivity deals, but they are paying athletes, which is, kind of creating a difficult precedent for those of us in the media, because in media you don't pay for interviews. The payment, if you will, is the exposure, and it's a quid pro quo. Generation Iron seems to have endless resources, and so maybe they can afford to pay for interviews. I don't know how much they're paying, but it's an interesting sort of situation. But I don't know if exclusivity contracts are as much of a problem as they used to be. It used to be, and I love Muscular Development, I love Steve Blackman, but I have to be honest, he did something that was very strategic. And you can't hate someone for being strategic, but he would do, I believe, 72-hour contracts, which, basically you go to somebody that you see a lot of promise in at a competition, particularly the USAs or the Nationals, and you give them a 72-hour contract. Is that a lot of money? Probably not, an outrageous amount of money, but it is money, and it will, be a nice reward for your efforts, especially if other outlets aren't paying you jack. You take those 72-hour contracts, and you make some money. You pay for your supplements and your travel and your lodging and all that, and it's not a loss. A lot of these shows are a loss because until you're a professional athlete, with the exception of maybe Evan Centopani, who got a good deal with Universal, most athletes don't get a contract until they turn pro. So, if you're going to get some money, might as well, right? But the thing is that 72-hour contracts, would prohibit or would prevent other outlets like your RX Muscles or, your Project Bodybuildings or even your Strength Addicts from getting interviews with these folks. If Flex got him first and MD couldn't get him. If MD got him first and Flex couldn't get him. But we're seeing less and less of that now because Flex Magazine is now merged into Muscle and Fitness. And Muscular Development, I mean, honestly, they're still around and they're still going strong thanks to the leadership of Ron Ayers, online editor-in-chief. But, I mean, Muscular Development is not what it once was. I mean, it used to be, the magazine was like 300-400 pages. Now it's, I don't know, maybe Chris or BMC can tell me, but I think the last one was like 180 or something like 150. I don't know. It's still a fantastic magazine, but there's just not that rush to sign, especially now that Flex Magazine is no longer, what it once was. I mean, they're sort of, they're still around within muscle and fitness, but they're I guess, there's a different direction. Muscle Mag, which was my personal favorite of all, is no longer around. Iron Man is around, but it's largely a men's physique magazine, and so there's really no competition. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, I don't know that exclusivity contracts are really that big of a deal, but they can still be a problem. Finally, I want to talk, second to finally, I want to talk about Kevin Levrone, the Maryland Muscle Machine. He will be at the NPC Maryland State and Eastern USA Championships. That's going to be a fantastic event, June the 9th. I'll be there June the 8th for check-ins. June the 9th is the day of the show. And, he's going to be doing a very, very special seminar. Kevin Levrone will be doing a seminar after the prejudge, which you don't want to miss. I mean, you can actually see Kevin Levrone giving a seminar, the Maryland Muscle Machine in Maryland. All right, so you don't want to miss that. That's actually very, very cool. And, I'm going to be there, possibly go with Kevin to the gym or something like that. That's going to be very, very cool. And, Kevin and I, we talk quite often, actually. And I really like what he's all about. I really like what he's trying to do, what he's done already by doing the Olympia and doing that show. I believe it was Australia. It's not about placings, guys. It's really about the fans. Kevin and Sean Ray shook hands with Craig there from Generation Iron. Again, I don't know. It looked to be real. You know what I mean? But I mean, I know that a lot of those guys from the '90s have like their own sort of like they will they're very competitive to this day. Sean, Flex, Kevin, even Milo Sarshev, they're all very, very competitive. You know what I mean? So it's, to me, honestly, it's not like they ever hated each other. It's just just competitiveness. You know what I mean? They're each legends. I mean, we're talking about basically Hall of Fame bodybuilders at this point, guys that were at the very best of the best and who have like legend-like status today. And so that's just really cool. It's good that they're patching it up, and that they're working together. And the NPC Maryland State's going to be a fantastic show. So absolutely. And then finally, I just want to talk about the North Coast recap. I was up in Kent State University, which, beautiful, beautiful campus. The MAC Center there, big arena for the 2018 NPC North Coast Championships. And quite frankly, I was very, very impressed. Nearly 300 bodies, 300 competitors, over 400 crossovers, amazing expo. Bench press competition, model search. I mean, it's just a really, really great event. So I was really impressed with that. And actually, Chris, I will be going up to the Northeast soon. I stock the Muscle Mag and Muscle. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, Muscle Mag was fantastic. I used to love that publication, and Robert Kennedy did a fantastic job. Passed away, unfortunately. I believe they sold the magazine and they tried to bring it back as some sort of a sort of like what Iron Man's doing now, kind of like a MPD heavy magazine. It didn't work out, but the North Coast was absolutely fantastic. I mean, you had Muscle Dog Fitness, TC Muscle, Team Big Mike Eli. You had, I mean, just a lot of people. Dean Caputo, Greg Krause. They put on a great event. So I was very impressed with that. You know what I mean? And again, it's all happening in the NPC Mid-Atlantic Zone. And it was just fantastic. So I was really impressed. I flew into Akron, took an Uber from Akron to Kent, Ohio. And then after that, I couldn't get any flights out of Akron, so I had to take a flight. This was like days before, but I reserved a flight out of Cleveland. And I love the airport in Cleveland, great airport. Unfortunately, I had to take an Uber from Kent to Cleveland, and I was like literally got there by the skin off my teeth. You know what I mean? I was very happy to get there, but next time I'm going to go a hell of a lot earlier, because I was just like, okay, Cuyahoga Falls. I was like looking at the map. I was like, okay, we took the turnpike, so we saved some time there. But I was just like, holy moly, if I miss this flight, you know, I'm in trouble. So we got there finally. It was okay. And the Uber app was like, you're going to be there at 10:07, and my flight left at 10:50. Well, my flight left at 11:05, but they shut the doors at 10:50. But the Uber app was like greatly exaggerating the ETA, because we actually got there 10 minutes before. And I was just, I gave the guy a $10 tip, and I paid the $1 for his turnpike fee, and everything worked out. But I do a lot of traveling, and honestly, I really, yeah, Akron Airport is really small. Really, really, really small. But, and I flew in a CRJ 200, which is probably like the smallest possible jet. It's like a 35-seater, but anything before it. Now, there's a smaller plane than the CRJ 200 and the Embraer 145, which are the two tiniest Polo Jumper jets that United and American fly. But there is one smaller. It's not a jet, but it's called a Dash, and it's a propeller plane, and I yet have to fly on that. But I've gone to some pretty small airports, Akron and Erie being two of the smallest I've ever flown into. But I'm thinking I'll probably fly into something smaller here before the year is up, and I'll be probably flying on a propeller plane. Hopefully it's not a plane so old that it has to be pushed out to the runway, but it's possible. At this point, I don't leave anything out to chance. But I do appreciate it very much, guys, for tuning in to the Iron Duke Live.